Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating idea: the power you have to consciously design your own mental and emotional world. We're going to unpack how you can go from just being a passenger in your own life to actually being the architect. I mean, does this sound familiar? That feeling of just being pushed and pulled around by events, by people, by circumstances, with very little say in where you actually end up? It's a super common feeling, but it really doesn't have to be your default setting. So, the big idea we're exploring today suggests a pretty radical shift in perspective. It's this idea that you can move from being a passive reactor to an active creator of your own experience. You're not just a leaf, you're the architect, you're the master chemist in your own internal laboratory. All right, so first up, let's get a really clear picture of this reactive state that, let's be honest, so many of us find ourselves stuck in. This is what's called the reactive mind. It's that moment when you get totally bent out of shape by a slow driver, or frustrated standing in a long line. Those times when our sense of peace feels completely dependent on what's happening outside of us. It's that feeling of being at the mercy of circumstance. Okay, but now for the part that can change everything. Let's explore this core idea, the concept of your inner chemistry kit. This ancient piece of wisdom, it's not just a clever metaphor. It's actually pointing to a profound biological truth. The emotions we cook up inside of us have a direct and really powerful physical effect on our bodies. And get this, the science backs this up in a pretty mind-blowing way. This number, over 1,500, that's how many different stress hormones researchers have found are released into our bodies during moments of anger and negativity. So when you get angry, you are literally flooding your system with a chemical cocktail. You are, in a very real sense, drinking your own poison. And this brings us to a fundamental principle, the law of cause and effect. The main idea here is that our current state, our health, our happiness, it isn't just random. It's the direct result of our thoughts and our actions over time. The crucial point is, you are constantly creating your own inner chemistry, whether you realize it or not. Okay, so if we're the ones creating our own chemistry, how does that mechanism actually work? How do these patterns get so deeply wired into us? You may have heard this famous saying in neuroscience, and it perfectly captures the whole process. Every single time you have a thought or a reaction, you fire a set of neurons in your brain. The more you repeat that same thought or reaction, the stronger that connection between those neurons becomes. Over time, you basically build a superhighway for that specific pattern, making it your automatic default response. And here's where most of the action is happening. We like to think we're in the driver's seat with our conscious mind, but check this out. A staggering 95% of our actions, our beliefs, and our reactions actually come from the subconscious. Our body, in essence, becomes the subconscious mind, trained over years and years to respond automatically. And that's why we so often get stuck in loops. That flash of anger in traffic, that feeling of anxiety before a big meeting, it's often not a fresh response to a new event. It's the subconscious mind just finding a familiar track from the past and hitting play again, putting these deep grooves into the record of our life. So if we're running on all these old programs, how do we take back control and start writing some new ones? Well, this brings us right to the path of empowerment. I mean, look at this side-by-side comparison. The reactive mind defaults to complaining and blaming. It sees problems as roadblocks. But the empowered mind, it flips the script. It takes responsibility, it focuses on solutions, and it sees those exact same problems as opportunities to grow. The shift from one to the other is a conscious choice. So the first practical steps are all about removing what's holding us back. Think of these 3 habits as our inner weeds. And here's a little challenge for you. Try to stop doing just one of these, let's say complaining, for a single day. You might be absolutely amazed at how deeply conditioned the mind is to just do it automatically. All right, this leads us to the final, and maybe the deepest concept for finding real, lasting peace. And it's all about understanding the nature of our attachments. At the very heart of this idea is the law of impermanence. It's a fundamental truth of the universe. Everything changes. Nothing external, not our jobs, not our possessions, our relationships, not even our bodies, stays the same forever. And this is where that beautiful metaphor of sandcastles comes in. We spend our lives building these intricate structures, our jobs, our identities, the stuff we own. We get attached to them and we get our sense of security from them, all while operating under this illusion that they're going to last forever. And here is the inevitable reality. The ocean of life, with its constant waves of change, will eventually wash our sandcastles away.
So the question this leaves us with is a powerful one. When that happens, what are you left with? Is your foundation built on something solid and internal, or was it all completely dependent on that temporary sandcastle?
And it is so crucial to understand this point. Non-attachment is not about becoming cold or distant or refusing to participate in life. It's the exact opposite. It's about participating more fully, but without the fear and suffering that comes from clinging to things that are destined to change. It's freedom. It's about being in harmony with the natural flow of life. So as we close out this explainer, I'll leave you with this final thought to just ponder. This question isn't for your intellect, but for your own quiet reflection. What attachment, big or small, might be causing you to suffer? And what might it feel like to begin, just a little bit, to let it go?